My name is Linda Anderson, and I am an artist. I'm a visionary artist, and that means I see pictures in my head. That's what it means to me. And then I'm able to paint those pictures. And so how I got this gift of painting was my daughter, when she was 17, had an aneurysm, which left her totally helpless. And so the doctors didn't think that she would even live to come home, but she did. And I had been a carpenter and working outside all the time, but then that stopped all that. And so I was home taking care of her, and she took almost all of the day and night to take care of because she developed epilepsy also. And so, you know, you just see your child suffering so much, and you just can't stand it any longer. And so I just prayed that I would get some kind of relief from this, because I couldn't stand to see my child suffering, and she couldn't speak then. And so then a presence or something came into that room and told me that I would get a gift, and told me that I was not to pray for her to be different because things were just like they were supposed to be. And so when daylight came, I looked out the window, and everything was different. Everything had certain shapes that I hadn't even noticed before. I started seeing these images and visions, and my sister got me some canvases, said, "You should try to put that down." So she got canvases and paints, and I started painting. And after about total lossing 3 or 4 cars, because I would see the vision and then I would look at the vision and not the road. Don't ever do that. And so I took my paintings to a fair, and I sold everything, and it just so happened that I sold to an art collector, and she took the paintings to an art dealer in Atlanta, and that's how I got started painting. And so the visions just kept coming, and I could keep you know, painting those. I was looking through this magazine, and there was Frida Kahlo, and I thought she looked very much like my mother did when my mother was young. And you'd think that I would be tired of painting her. I've painted her a lot of times, but she's still in my paint box. And so sometimes when I pick up my paints, I know then it's time to do Frida. Somebody told me that I painted a lot like Frida, which is the best compliment any person could get. But I think she was wonderful. And a friend of mine found this frame. I painted a painting just to go into this frame, and it is a Mexican frame. I think she would feel very honored that how people think of her today. When the apple season came in, which is about September and October, well, the men would go out and pick the apples, or if you had pretty young children, like teenage children, they'd pick the apples. And then you dried them because there was no refrigeration. It was a lot of fun. The community would come and help, and the guys, you didn't see the guys until it was about dark. And of course, there was always food that women brought or prepared there. But they would come and they would do music, and they would sing and just, you know, do things that guys do. My art dealer told me, I just used to just sign my name. And she said, you should say when you finish the painting. And I didn't know that she meant hour and minute. I thought she meant that. In other words, that's the wrong. And she just meant the day that I finished it. But then I kept a time watch on it because at this time, let me see, I think BJ, my daughter that was sick, I think she was still home. Anyway, I had to keep a watch on the clock for her. Where I paint is total chaos. I mean, I can't paint when everything is in its little slots or where it's supposed to be. So if you walk into my studio, it looks like a hoarder studio, although I know where things are for the most part. And so that doesn't bother me, all of that going on, you know, the things just flung here and there and paints here and there. That doesn't bother me one bit. Most of my paintings have lightning rods because lightning struck our house when I was a young child, and I like to put lightning rods on. We didn't have lightning rods, and so it was a bad lightning storm. I like to put these little extra things in on a painting. Everybody obviously is asleep here because I don't see any lights in the windows, but this is a favorite of mine. This one is called Driving the Cows In for the Night. If you know, in cold weather, you don't want to leave your animals out. So these look like milk cows to me. And so the men are just lighting torches and making them go into the barn. This one is my mother. And I said she had black hair, but I put brown in here because it just looked better to me. And so she's feeding her chickens. I have a photograph of her sitting on a stump, and she's throwing out grain to her chickens. And so then I got this vision of this, and so that's what that's about. And then the sun is going down or either coming up. I'd say it's going down simply because her apron's kind of dirty, and so she's had the whole day to you know, get that apron dirty. And so I think that's what's going on there, because the sunrise and sunset sometimes looks a lot the same. My mother always had this idea that there was a snake in the barn. And so she wouldn't go in and milk the cow unless I had to go in there first. And then if I went in there first, that meant I had to milk the cow. So she got a bunch of frogs, and she put them in the barn. And every day you had to go into the barn and count the frogs. If there was a frog missing, I had to go milk the cow because a snake had eaten the frog. That was her whole idea. And so I thought, well, you know, I'm going to get smart about this whole thing. And I got a bunch of frogs and put them in my pockets. And I'd go in, if there's any missing, I'd toss a couple in there. And so I didn't have to milk as much as I should have, I guess. We were going down to St. Simon's one evening pretty late, and there was this chinaberry tree, and there were crows all in it, and they were passing chinaberries from one to the other. And so I started seeing that in my head, but when I saw it in my head, I saw also deer, because there was a grapevine growing up in that chinaberry tree, and these deer were eating, in my head only, the grapes. And so that's what that's about. And I didn't get a really good look at the crows, if they actually were just playing with the china berries or if they really did eat them. But the name of the painting is Crows Eating the China Berries. This is Celeste, the cosmic chicken, and she's made totally out of found objects. Cecile Mativier helped me with it, and my son John made the frame because he knows how to weld, and it was a mannequin to about right here, and then we put tons of paper mache, and John, my son, was driving along one day and he saw this thing lying out in the man's yard, this culvert looking thing, and he stopped and he asked the man, could he buy it? And the man said, well, I'd be glad if you took it. And if you want to know why I did Celeste, I woke up one morning and I thought, I really do want to make a cosmic chicken that just came out of the ether, out of the cosmos, just shows up, you know. To try to think how you would make one, it's ridiculous because you can't. And you just get a bunch of things and put it together and let it go the way it wants to go. So Celeste is the product of that.